Good evening from the UK and welcome to Inception special. Tonight I have a VIP guest. No pressure on him. I have the man himself from Expanding Reality. As you know, I always mess up the bio, so I'm not going to do it no more. They don't pay me enough. So I'm just going to say to Brandon, introduce yourself. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I am Brandon Thomas, as Gloria has graciously introduced me, and I'm the host of a little show called Expanding Reality. We talk about the ideas, and we go pretty down the deep rabbit holes, and that's the whole thing. So I love the show. I love the guests. It's all about the guests, and I have the most phenomenal audience and an engaging group of folks that we call the Soul Tribe. So welcome all of you listening to the Soul Tribe.
There you go. I'm going to ask you first, because we can go anywhere we want today, but go down the rabbit hole wherever we want, whatever your passion is. But first of all, for those who may not know you, and if you don't know who he is, then I don't know where you've been. Give a sort of a backdrop to how you got into podcasting. How did you get here?
Yeah, a lot of it stemmed actually back to 2001. So 2001 was when I discovered conspiracy theories, a spiritual awakening, and had been in my second bout of psychedelics all in the same year. So I had a pretty mind-expanding year that year. And that set me on the current trajectory that finds us sitting with each other today. So I guess a few years ago, I got introduced to podcasts for the first time. I didn't know what a podcast was. My wife was listening to one when we took her car to the store one weekend, and I was just like, what the hell is this? And it was great. And so I did some more investigating, and I just fell in love with the idea, the concept, the freedom, just everything about it. And so we started one 2 years ago with my wife and a couple of friends, and it was more like a morning talk show. It was silly and goofy, but I kept interjecting UFO subjects, and I did some really, really cool breakdowns on a bunch of different things, and nobody else on the show liked it, and no one was into it, and so and that's fine. So when the whole, I guess, thing happened and everyone separated out, I was the only one who came back to it. But I knew back then that the show that I'm doing now was eventually where I wanted this to go. So, I called the first one the caterpillar. This is the butterfly. This is what it was supposed to be.
I'm with you. Yeah. So I mean, I've watched a few of your shows, and I've seen you as guests on others. You have a very endearing personality. Send a check in the post later when I finish this.
Right. Thank you.
But it's the diversity of the guests that you bring on. And you're a bit like Forbidden Knowledge News Network, where you can get anything, whatever interests you, you're always going to get a guest on that interests somebody. So it's the richness and diversity of your podcast. Do you find it hard getting, the sources that you get are unbelievable, and the information you share? Do you find it difficult, or do you find I'm finding at the beginning, I thought it was difficult, and there you go, that's what happens. But then once I got rid of that, it just started to flow. Does that happen to you? Like, did you think it would be difficult, and then it just flowed, so to speak?
Yes, I didn't want to do this as a monologue. Like I said, my first show, first of all, back to what you said, thank you for your compliments. I'm truly grateful. So I guess I'm sending you the check, so we'll just cancel them out. Yes, it was a passion of mine, and I didn't want to do this by myself. After having, 3 other co-hosts, even though they, didn't care for the topics, it was still a fun thing. I wanted to do this like a team. And so the interview part of it was very important to me. So I wanted to make sure that there was an energy exchange there, and that we can expand on the ideas. And that's the whole point, is we get into a flow. I've maybe got a few things that I've written down, but other than that, it's very organic. We just go. It's not a normal interview show like you focus on the guests and your more conversational style, which I find very appealing. And so that's just what I made.
I'm not an interviewer. I suck at interviewing. Having a chat, having a conversation, and talking about the passions. I'm loving it, because I'm learning at the same time as maybe I'm sharing a bit of me. And, so I find that's the best way. I mean, not that the other way is the wrong way, but for me, I like organic conversations. And that was the segue into this bit. Now we've got that over with. What's your passion? What should we talk about?
Oh, well, I've lately been, expanding reality, and the variety of guests I have are for a reason. I have a wide variety of interests, right? And so, but being able to talk to all these incredible people with their own perceptions of reality, of experience, of what they know, what they can contribute to these thought experiments has been one of the coolest things ever. Simply because then you get a very well-rounded opinion,
Yeah,
or I guess palette to pick from, right?
yeah,
And so some folks will get into an echo chamber of their own ideas, and that's okay. Then
yeah,
you can really, really, really hash them out, right?
yeah,
But I prefer to take in a bunch of different information, cognitive dissonance, check it at the door. We
yeah,
don't do that around my show.
yeah,
We just open your mind and explore
yeah,
the ideas and let them take
yeah.
you where they go. And that's the best thing. I've had the most fun doing it that way, and that's what I enjoy the most. But all the people that come on, as long as we can go into it with an open mind, and like you, I focus on the guests. Like I said, I want to make sure that they're having the best
Yes,
time possible. And
yes.
if that's a changeover, then awesome. That's what you
Yeah.
want, right?
I mean, you do. You want your guests to have fun. I mean, you do.
Yes,
You want to. I love it at the end of the show. They go, "Yeah, that was great. I'm ready to do that again, whenever."
I know.
And then, but I'm already feeling that energy through the conversation, and hopefully the audience. Now, we spoke earlier on, and obviously on the Inception other podcast, 8 Doors. I have 8 Doors of Consciousness, and that touches on conscious and reality. Blah de blah. When we spoke earlier on, when I said, give me some topics that really interest you, and very similar to me, it's this reality. It's what's going on. So how about we have a conversation about this reality, what we think is timelines, throw in I'm open to anything that comes out. Let's have a discussion. Where do you want to start this chat?
Let's start it with the concept I'm most fond of, which is possibilities. So a lot of folks confuse probability with possibility, and that's okay. And
Yes.
so a good distinction on that would be, though, that let's say, for instance, that if you read a news headline that said "man killed by a whale in Nebraska," that's and people would say that's impossible. That's not possible. It didn't happen. Well, it's not accurate. It is possible because all of those things exist. People
Yeah.
exist, whales exist, and Nebraska exists.
Yeah.
The other component to that would be that perhaps, let's say you could extrapolate it out, that a plane was transporting a whale from one side of our country to the other and across the Great Plains. It dumped out, had a malfunction, and a whale fell from its cargo, water and all, and killed a farmer in the middle of a field with no ocean for hundreds of miles in any direction. So it is possible. It's not probable. But when you open things up to possibilities, that's when you have the fun. That's when everything comes into play. There's a neuroscientist named Dr. David Eagleman. I highly, highly recommend everybody go check out his video titled Possibillion, because that's what I guess I would plant my flag on the most, because it's most open, right? And on the show also, we're not hindered by these pesky things called beliefs. Beliefs are very rigid, and you have to defend them to the death and all of that good stuff. And it just sounds exhausting, right? So I'm a bigger fan of having ideas. Ideas are easier to change. So let's say, for instance, that the possibility that this place is not what you have been led to believe. Then the question would be why, of course, right? Would there be a deceptive action in there, and that's a whole rabbit hole on its own. But then also, then the question really comes up, then if it's not what they say that it is, then what is it? And that's where the possibilities come into play.
Yeah,
Now,
I'm with you. Let me jump in there. I mean,
please.
So basically, I love your analogies. Is like, I agree with you. It resonates with me with the possibilities, because I use a thing called, I know you use it too, but because my background, my former career was criminology, I use deconstruction of every single frigging thing I can think of. So I'm open, it comes in, and I take it all apart and look at it. Now, with probabilities, but with possibilities, anything that comes in, even the whale on the man on his head in Nebraska, I think we said it was, or wherever, the possibilities are there. That's where so you're really talking about, Gloria, let's have a conversation about deconstructing this reality and the possibilities of what it could be. Does that sound good?
That sounds perfect. That's right up my alley. You just made this guest smile a whole lot. So
Well, there you go. So no pressure. You start first. Come on. What do you think that we can use any any. What do you think?
Yeah, let's have fun with it. So I guess the caveat would be just to kind of abandon your thoughts at the door here, and let's go for it.
Yeah.
So one of my favorites, of course, and we can just start here because this is a good one to start with, would be the simulation argument. Now, there's a physicist named Nick Bostrom, and he postulated this whole theory. He's written a bunch of really good books on AI and things like that. But one of the things he's more famous for would be his argument about simulation theory, and that this place is just a simulation, or an ancestor simulation, as he calls it. So there's three different components, or three main components to his argument that can be what we can springboard off to kind of talk about the idea. So the first one would be that a civilization never gets to the point evolutionarily, or they destroy themselves, or they just can't technologically evolve that far to create ancestor simulations. That's argument one. So if a civilization gets to that point, and it doesn't have to be humans, it could be a bunch of squid people that have technology. We kind of limit ourselves with thinking that it's bipedal creatures everywhere, right? So even that, you got to expand on that. But then they never reach that point. So then therefore that one's out, right? That's not a possibility for there to be a simulation. But if you take it a little bit further and say that a civilization does get technologically, his point two, technologically able to create simulations, and then just simply chooses not to. They're like, yeah, we totally could build this computer the size of our moon, but we're not going to do it. We just thought against it, and we're just going to do other things. Now, the third point is the most interesting. And this is where the mind just wanders, that a civilization does get technologically capable of creating ancestor simulations, and then they decide to do it. Now, if that's the case, then the chances of you being in the original reality are billions to one. So what this means then is that you could be a simulation within a simulation within a simulation. Let's say the simulation that they run to see how a life would form under certain conditions and things like that, then gets to the point in their simulation technologically where they're capable of doing it, and then decide to, then you could just go further and further and further down the rabbit hole, like Inception, the movie, where you just go smaller and smaller and smaller. So if that's the case, it's very, very interesting. Now, the simulation argument is something that has popped up lately, and people talk about this like, well, what do you mean? Well, we now have a frame of reference for the idea. And so beforehand, let's say when people would describe UFO accounts or something like that, I guess back in the day is what we can say, they would describe them as like, chariots or wheels within wheels, because they didn't have a technological reference point. And so even the fabric of reality and what's possible now is more possible to conceptualize based on that framework, because you can wrap your mind around it a little bit when you think of it like the movie The Matrix, or a video game or something like that. It's crazy. That's one of my favorites.
It's one of your favorites, right? God, that was like, here we go. I'm going to say, help me out, guys, with this one. The simulation theory, I have heard before, and obviously, the reason why my podcast is called Inception is because I resonate so much with the film Inception. That got me. That got me, and I have no issue at all if it's the way that you've described it, and you said it very eloquently, and I couldn't say it any better. But however, the simulation of the simulation going on, one, I have no issue with that, because then there's no consequences.
Right. Well, yes.
There's a freedom. There's a freedom on that one. How does that resonate with you?
Well, it does, and then it connects also to what I resonate the most with in terms of spirituality, if we take it that way, because I've said it a lot, but a God in a reality that created this life for us to experience itself subjectively, all that would be indistinguishable from a really, really, really good simulation. So really they could be perceived the same way, and you would get the same results, right? And so I like to consider this more of an organic matrix, right? It's got soul, it's got water, we have elements here.
I mean, I resonate with that because I come from, my truth is non-duality. So it's self-realization. So I'm in a juxtaposition. This is how I describe it. So I consciousness, source, whatever you call it. At the same time, I have the mask of glory, the identity to play the simulation. So the simulation works with my truth. I have no issue with it, because I am that. I am consciousness in all places, all time, all timelines, all things in the now. So that I so resonate with that. I think because from where I come from, my truth at the moment in this reality, there really are no consequences. There are no consequences. So it's that's a real good one. You got to say there, and it does come, and even me. I mean, none of us know everything. The simulation, let's say we're doing 3 simulations, all right, the simulation, all right, okay, who's the guy in the tin suit?
I mean, that's the question, right? And then,
Yeah.
and even there, though, if it is capable of being this simulated reality that we don't know that we're in, or that it's
Yes.
so good, well, who's to say that we aren't just some kid's school project in another dimension that actually got
Yeah.
a D? It's not even that good. You know what I mean?
It's
So
that is I have no issues with that too.
yeah,
And that, I mean, that, because again, it takes away the fear, it takes away accountability to a degree. I mean, I got to be, I mean, if those that may question this, okay, for my truth, I'm in what I could call the dream world. Okay, so if I do an act that is against the true self, which I hope I never do, which I can't cross the line, say I did, say I went and murdered somebody, then I'd go to dream prison and I would experience the consequence of the action. It's part of it. Like in any computer game that my kids have had, there's always consequences of actions. Call it karma, I call it consequences of action. So, and it's part of the universal laws for me in this 3D polarity. That's, you know, there are laws here that we, as we're connected into this simulation, we have to abide by. So there will be consequences, but it would not, if you're coming from a self-realization point of view, you will experience it, but you won't suffer it, so to speak. So there's a gap, but then because you're coming from that, you then can play the role and not actually make the mistakes. Does that make sense?
It definitely does. And so, yes, there are definitely an cause and effect type of things that we can experience here. Now, some are natural, some are man-made.
Yeah.
So some follow natural law, and those are very persistent. Those are the ones that you really can't bend.
That's the organic part. The
yeah.
organic, yeah.
Yeah, but like being told, let's say, I don't know, for instance, like where to go, where you can go, where you can shop, where you can do whatever you want, who you can hang out with, things like that. Those are man-made laws, and those are horrifying. So
That
they
you
go
are allowed to say bullshit louder than that. Okay.
we can cuss on this.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah! It's my show.
Fuck yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. No, so there are cause and effect type of things, but what's interesting about it is, and one of the ways that I play around with this, and one of the solid things that kind of makes this a little bit more clear for me are the reports of near-death experiences that come back, and they say that they were the ones that did the judging on themselves. Whatever experience they had there was of complete love, complete forgiveness,
absolutely,
all of that stuff, and just warmth, and they didn't want to come back. And so whatever happens on the next level, if we want to call it a simulation, because when you finish the level here, obviously you just die and then you just shift over. And we can get into quantum immortality here if you'd like as well. That's a lot of fun. But whenever you look at stuff like that, there are very rigid rules here, but there's no judgment here. So yes, I think back to your point, I just want to kind of clarify something. You go through, I look at it like you go through levels, right? Of understandings here, but that also incurs different levels of higher consciousness, right? So that's all we mean by levels. It's not a hierarchical thing. No one's better than anyone else. Everybody's right where they should be. But if you're raising in consciousness, you get to these understandings that if we are all one and there's no judgment on the other side, and yes, all things are okay here and permissible and not moral, because moral or judgment calls that we make as human beings dialed down to this frequency, a lot of it based on programming. But it is carte blanche to just do whatever the hell you want. But whenever you get to that level of understanding, there's also a discernment badge that you've earned along the way there that tell you that killing people is not your highest good. Yes, it's okay, and you're not going to get judged or go to hell, but that comes with a level of spiritual maturity that you have no desire to do that. You're the furthest thing from that, even though you have the understanding that you're not going to go to hell for it, right? So there's a bit of discernment there. So yes.
There is. I mean, that is in non-duality as well. I mean,
right.
I'm going to pull you back slightly to what you said about those that die and say, you know, we judge ourselves, whatever. From my truth is, I come from, let me do a statement. How can I word this? You die before you die. And what this self-judgment is, or what this is as we do the work on ourselves through this simulation, and there's a lot of work needs to be done. We've got a lot of belief system, ideologies, concepts, cultures, what we thought was true. When we find out it's not true, we've got to let it go. That is happening. Well, my truth is it's happening now globally. That is dying before you die, before you get to, I like the quantum evolution because that's where I go with it. So discernment, when it comes in, change it, discernment itself and deconstructing the experience, for me, it dissipates, and the belief systems and the concepts I spoke about. And what you were saying earlier on about your podcast, you went from a caterpillar to a butterfly. It's from the dual position I'm in, juxtaposition. It's like it's 2 in 1, not really, because it's a simulation. However, the consciousness permeates the identity, and that's where maturity, spiritual maturity comes in. You go, I've done it way back. I must stop getting drunk. It just doesn't resonate anymore. Do you know what I mean? Or some people, I don't do drugs, but some people go, do you know what? I've had a bored with it. That's how it comes through, you know, the metamorphosis from caterpillar to butterfly. Does that analogy resonate with the experience as we go along?
It totally does, because and I think that all things here are vibrational.
Yes.
So if you take that, I mean, because even Tesla said, when you understand frequency, you understand the universe, right?
Yeah.
And so, but if you understand that, then that's what the idea of a 3D or a 5D reality here. I know a lot of people are talking about this split and this shift, and you know, Dolores Cannon's idea of this great shift and things. I think all of it exists here now. It all exists here now, and there are several examples we could talk about people having completely separate times in the same exact geographical location.
I am in a different timeline at this moment to what I'm observing, and it's weird. I don't know how I got here, but I got here. That's the weirdest thing.
Well, I think, and it's always been here. It's just brighter, right? And
so and the veil's thinned, or something. But there is an absolute distinction. I was in one timeline, and I can't explain it. I can't articulate. But I'm now in a totally different timeline. I hate to use the term, it is like a new simulation of Earth. It is. And there's just bits going on, you know, just chatter in the background. Can you explain it? I can't find the words to explain how that happened.
We could talk about the ideas. I couldn't explain it to a factual degree. I couldn't tell you this is what's happening. I could tell you, though, that there are a lot of interesting things. And whenever you kind of wrap your mind around these concepts of, like I said, quantum immortality or timelines or the split or vibration, then you can expand the idea to a little bit bigger. Now, what I would say is what I've been doing a lot lately is zooming out, zooming way out on a macro level and look at things from further away. And this is a great thing to do in spiritual evolution because you become the observer, and that's kind of the goal, right? Is to not be negatively affected by anything, or not let things that come in affect you. You create the world around you by vibrating.
You observe, but you don't participate. You just observe. And that means when you don't participate, it doesn't mean physical. It means emotionally, energetically.
Right.
There's a disconnect.
Yeah. And even being on the, let's say, air quotes, correct side of things. Let's say that there is a two-party system in government, just for instance. No one would ever create such a thing because it's so inefficient. But let's say that somebody that was foolish enough to create a two-party system in government, and then put out propaganda on both sides. Both sides are absolutely correct in all ways, but they're both lying in all ways. So people resonate with those ideas, and therefore it's divisive. And therefore, even though you're adding energy to the side that you're on, which you're very passionate about, it's still diametrically opposed to make you contribute energy to the system. And A lot of it's negative. It doesn't matter. It's, are you excited?
Yes.
Cool. That's an energy. Are you pissed off and pissed at the other side? Which
And that's absolutely, that's where you have to become the observer. It's like, you know, when I watch people, you know, on what's going on in the world now and get very angry. You're for my truth, you don't have to believe my truth. My truth is you're feeding that. And that is what you're creating. It's going to keep coming back. And that's a timeline. I mean, I don't know how many timelines there is in them now, but that's, and there's like, how can I put, there's many worlds but one earth, okay, and each one is a timeline in itself. So I agree with you. You could have two sides, and you may have the most righteous, whatever you think, awake and aware, woo-wee, love and lighty, whatever, but if you're an opposition to the other one, you're still in the system. Does that resonate with you, my way of?
No, it definitely does. And because the system is set up to be that way. And so that's why when you look at the example that we just used, step out 1 degree, zoom out a little bit. And what you'll see when you do that is that it's a loose system where it's a character with 2 puppets on one on each hand. And you had to zoom out a little bit to see that they're being propped up by the same entity, that all it wants is energy. It doesn't care. It prefers the taste of anger and fear and animosity. Because that feeds it more, right? It's like an adrenaline boost for that entity. So it doesn't prefer love and light. Now, I'll compare this because as you were talking to it about different worlds, it just came to mind that the analogy of an arcade. Let's say that this whole reality is an arcade, and everything around here, politics, anything you can think of are little games inside this arcade. Now, you can go to one and you can play the hell out of it as much as you want, but if you want to keep playing it, it's going to require you to put money in or to put energy in, because all money is energy anyway. All anything is energy. So if that's the case, the way that you break out of that system is simply to move on to another game, or to realize that you're just in an arcade and maybe go play outside, you know, and do something completely different. So all of these things are just options for you to give your energy.
They're all possibilities. They're all possibilities. What I tend to do more so now than ever, I go, okay, with this experience of being a Homo sapiens, well, I'm bored of that. What shall I experience now? That's the way I go. And normally when I'm in that sort of like, okay, it's gone quiet again. It's gone quiet. It goes very still, and I'm thinking, you know, there's no doing, there's no anything. But normally within, I'd say, you know, 2 or 3 days, a shift has happened. And I'm not consciously, at one point I was consciously making them decisions, but now I just energetically feel, I'm going to experience something new, vroom, and then I'm experiencing, and where the fuck did that come from? Does that resonate with you about in this sort of simulation, how we're going down this big ass rabbit hole here? Keep going.
I love it. Yeah. And yes, and this is the concept of like attracts like. And so that whenever we talk about vibrations and stuff and existing in 3D, even 5D and all of that, it can all be dialed down to your vibration. It's what you resonate with. If you consider yourself to be an unlucky person, then you're absolutely right. If you consider yourself to be a lucky person, then you're absolutely right. So it really is about what you choose to experience here. Now things are going to pop up for you to anything that comes up in life, good or bad, or, you know, whatever, it all is just to teach you something. It's a mirror of yourself reflecting back to you in this reality, because that's how everything out here works. Perhaps. Again, we're just talking about the ideas. I know I get a little declarative on this.
No, I like that. I've said it many times on my shows to my guests. You're a mirror of me. I'm talking to me.
Right.
And it's part of the, you know, the experience. Because you're me and I'm you, but just in a different shape and form. So I resonate with that. Keep popping it. Keep going.
Well, and this is where the idea of new things that come up, but crappy things, you know, if you'll notice, like the same challenges you had as a kid or a younger self or your more rebellious self, whatever, they don't pop up anymore because you've dealt with them and you've moved on. Now, it's not that you've learned the lesson and you've moved on. It's that you vibrate higher. So when you start to think about things as vibrational, that's when everything changes for you in your mind. So then, therefore, you know that affirmations do help raising your vibe, changing things for yourself and doing little things, even though they might seem perhaps ritualistic. What you're really doing is you're reprogramming your subconscious, which that's where all of it stems from. And even folks like Dr. Bruce H. Lipton talk about epigenetics and how 90-something% of your actions every day are done through your subconscious, which you don't
Yeah.
even think about. Like you can picture driving your car and getting home and being like, oh shit, how did I get here? You know, you're not even thinking because you're on autopilot.
Yeah.
That's that subconscious shit. That's what you have to rewire if your vibration isn't where you want it to be, or that's what you do rewire whenever you go into practices such as meditation, mindfulness practices, law of abundance, all of those.
I mean, the unconscious part was was a shock for me years ago, because, you know, you got your memories. Okay, I'm working on that, and all of a sudden it would be like, you know, this energy would come up or whatever would come up, this fear or something, and you go, what's that?
Yeah.
But I was aware from, you know, I did follow, you know, listen to a good few, I'm not going to give them a title, but anyway, I did a lot of research and I thought, unconscious, it's unconscious, and it's hidden in, you know, the energy, it's hidden inside. And I became more aware of that. So every time it come up, I stopped questioning and stopped labeling. I allowed it to come up. I observed it as the observer, and it didn't feel nice at all. And I always say it, I didn't have one dark night of the soul. I had thousands of the dark night of the soul. It went on and on. It seemed like for an eternity, but all I did was observe and make room. So yeah, I resonate with that part as well. And what I love about having conversations like this on shows is, you know, we can share this at this time in December 2021, or, you know, come on, 5 years, I don't know, go back a bit more, we couldn't even talk this stuff. Yeah. We're now manifesting this now. Absolutely. By having this, and this is why I guess I try to get out of it anything I can, because to manifest and reflect back to me, to reflect back, and this is the timeline we're going on. Where do you want to take it now? Because I want to ask you a question. What do you think, and I will get you on the 8 Doors Inception in the future, the relation in this simulation, I say that these beings, ET or angels, is all part of this dream world or film or simulation. It's all part of it and interaction with it. But the part I want to come to, what I've become aware of, I don't know about you, is, and others have spoken of this, is that these other beings are being very helpful. They're assisting in some way. I don't want to say too much yet because I want to get your perspective on that. Have you experienced them? If not, what's the possibility or ideas you have about them?
Oh, how long is the show? So with those entities in particular, what we're talking about, I guess, is the extraterrestrials, the extra high strangeness type stuff. So first and foremost, I would say that it just depends on what your thoughts on reality are. So of course, if this is a simulation, then yes, just like you said, they're just, how I put it, is artifacts of the simulation. They're just part of the experience, right? Or they're here to like fix stuff, you know, and change programs around, and they're kind of like program correctors. They're like, oh shit, I gotta put my hard hat on. They clock in and put their hard hat on, and they have this go down to earth and fix a battery or something.
Oh, you make it sound so boring that way.
For them, for the entities, yes. Because then let's say for instance, like those people over in China that go and take care of the baby pandas, like that's amazing, right? And also Owen Benjamin has a great thing about how pandas aren't real, but we can get into that if you'd like.
Oh, but, go there, go anywhere you want.
Well, the idea goes that they're in that habitat, but it's just a job for them. But from that panda's perspective, they're these entities that are coming into their environment that's set up with them that eventually they get more familiar with. But if you have infrequent interaction, then it would be jarring to your system. And so maybe the aliens or whatever these entities are just here to do a job, and they're in here, they're messing around. For us, it's like, oh my God. But for them, it's just like, Mondays, am I right? And you know, they're scooping up poop and stuff like that. But if you go with the simulation thing, then that's one possibility, right? That's all this is possibilities. But if we're talking about the narrative that is spoken about whenever mainstream ufology, I guess is how I'll call it, nuts and bolts folks talk about that they are here to help, that they don't like nukes, and that they're here to save the environment. I guess it's one possibility. Again, I'm a little bit more skeptical of that idea, because you do have other people that have a real crappy time with it. The other thing that's interesting is if they can warp your mind or implant screen memories or something like that, then they can make you think that whatever the interaction they had was whatever the hell they want, and they can make you think that they're from wherever they want. So for me, it's not only it's so first of all, it's very, I mean, they kidnap you, you know what I mean, against your will, even though maybe sometimes eventually they're able to implant a memory into you that thinks that you desired that, or that you call them in, or whatever. It could be a complete neural hijacking. And so we don't know what the intentions are. Or you could have two different entities, groups of entities, or a variety of them that have all sorts of different intentions, you know, based on what they're doing. Now, we can also, though, refer back to vibration on this. Okay, so the people that have a very low vibration, have a very hard time with things, are the unlucky folks. Let's just call it that. Then they have interactions that are horrible, and they have a very bad time. Some people will call them demons, and you know, they attract a very negative entity because that's the pulse they're putting out. Now, the people who vibrate higher, perhaps, have actual help. They have whatever DNA upgrades that they claim to get. They have all these improvements. They have health issues that they had for years just magically go away overnight after an interaction with these entities. So it could be vibrationally based as well, or it could be all horseshit. It could be, we could be a resource for them. We could
I've got another possibility for this, because this is really, for me, it's a very intriguing subject. It could be, another possibility is that we are them, and we came in here to go through this experience, and they just come in and keep saying, you know, MOT time, love, let's check the oil, let's check the, who knows? It could be that. However, I want to come back to what you're saying about low vibration and high vibration about experiences. Right. I am a lifelong contactee, so I have never, ever had a negative experience with these beings. I've been on craft, I've been on tables, I've been what you call paralyzed, but it wasn't paralyzed to me. It was something totally different. So if you change the way you look at things will change, but it's always been that way. I've never had it. I've had fear and I've had torture from humans. But not from them. So I'm not saying so. And I look at it, I think on my human experience, I can now look back at my human experience, and I think this is a crucial point, whether it's with contact or with human contact. I used to perceive the human experience when I was a child and growing up, and I was a victim of it. I saw it in a negative connotation. Now, through maturity, or whatever you want to call it, to this thing, I changed the way I looked at it, and I saw it totally different. It was a totally different scenario, and it was a learning ground. It was an experiential. I went in for the experience. I see it totally different. It's not a belief, it's experiential. How does that resonate with you? It's another possibility. It could be them saying, come in, experience being a human. I don't know. Could be.
I love this idea and all of the ideas. I would be fine if it was all of them. If it was
all of don't bother me.
We can get to the point where I really, you know, and I've talked a lot about consensus reality on the show lately. And it's this idea that we don't all share the same reality, that we're all just kind of telling each other a dream, but this reality really is created by you. And even down in the simulation argument, everyone out here could be non-player characters, or they could be things that serve a purpose or a job here, and you are the only one here. Whether you're an individuated expression of each of those entities, or if you are literally the only one here. And
well, I've even that one is really freaky. Now, I'm glad you're the only guest that's ever raised that. I remember a couple of times having that vroom. It's not fear, but it's vroom. And it was like, you know, when I am here, and I went, it's only me. Boom. And then it went. And I've had a few times that has come up. So I suppose you have to experience all things and go, and I have choice. I have a choice where I want to go, do I not? But if you listen to the sages of like India, we've got Miji Baba, we've got Papaji, and we'll go all the way back, non-duality, they will say there is only you. There is only you. And I think the reason we don't really dig too, I'd like to dig deep on that, we don't dig too deep on that, because as Homo sapiens sapien identities, we like to be social and interact, and I love chatting. I chat for England, you know, just a little old woman in a village chatting away. And it is a bit anxious when you think, but if there's only me, wow. So that is something I've experienced energetically a couple of times.
Yeah, it's a mind fuck for sure.
It's more than a mind fuck. It's like a mind flying fuck.
Yeah, that is a much better description of it.
Yeah, don't go there. Just the mind goes, do not go there. The mind can't go there.
Maybe though those type of taboos are actually guardians to secret knowledge. You know, maybe that's where the actual wisdom is found out. And I think
we're getting our chemical now. Stay on that. Go deeper on that one.
I actually had a guest on named Jenny Rivers. Highly recommend. You guys go check her out. And she was talking about this idea of taboos being guardians to secret knowledge. And one of the examples she used was a forest. And she said, you know, all the ticks and nettles and thorns and stuff are on the outside of the forest, not in the middle. They're there as kind of a barrier to see if you can make it through these trials and tribulations, then you get to the wisdom and the magic inside. So perhaps that's what taboos are. And you can shatter a few of those, no problem. People's perception of sexuality, how those taboos exist, and you know, anything that goes against natural law is one of those things that stands out to you. But also the concept, and maybe it's here as a taboo, not to freak you the fuck out, to think that you are the only one here. I've seen interesting accounts of somebody saying that they're in a different timeline and no other humans are anywhere. And they'll go through these major city centers and not a soul around. So if that's the case, then it does lend itself more to an experiential organic matrix in that way, where you are the only one here, you're experiencing it all the other people, air quotes, are just artifacts of that experience, and they can be turned off or glitched out.
At any time. Now we need to stay there, and I've got to try and keep this going. Help me out, guys. This is really interesting for me because I want to bring in time slips in this reality. The time slips, the crossovers. So, you know, from non-duality, the basic core teaching is I am that I am, and I am in all places, all time, all timelines, all universes, all worlds, all now. So I'm recalling just in this timeline, playing this role, Gloria, and having a conversation with you. But I'm aware, I'm everywhere. That in itself, I mean, hold on, I'm just seeing where my mind's going. What's going to happen?
No, work it out. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, that in myself, I'm going, okay, you know, I'm actually calling out to the guides here, which you intervene. For me, I'm here. Self-realization means to know thyself. Self-realize I am that I am. That's self-realization. I am that I am. And the journey is, bear with me, humor me. The journey is we come into the simulation, whatever, experience all these things, but the purpose is self-realization. That is it. Okay? And when you get to self-realization, you can then play the role of the Homo sapien, crazy old woman in the village, you know, but you're not, you're the observer, you're observing what it's doing. And what I will say, what happens, not all the time, there's time slips, things disappear, things are not, solid matter is not solid anymore. So there's glitches does that make sense to you? So that's, there's a possibility there. Oh, what do you think about that one?
Well, I love it. And I love the glitches and possibilities. I mean, because this is the thing, you know, this is what it's about. And if the purpose is self-realization and self-actualization, then that's subjective. So therefore, there's no real way to do it, because people are defined by their paradigm, which is just experience and beliefs, so which are different for everyone, which again lends to the idea that consensus reality is not a thing. We don't experience the same stuff. We just don't.
We can't. It's an impossibility.
Yeah, well, and scientists have even proven that colors are different to people.
Yes.
So a color of a strawberry red to me is different to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I always use an analogy on the shows. I got an orange, cut it in half. I give half the orange to you, Brandon, half to me. We have both experienced eating an orange However, we've experienced it totally different.
Absolutely. This is
totally different. We cannot experience another's experience. We can't do it.
And we can't share experiences.
No.
We can just tell each other what the experiences are. And you see this in eyewitness testimonies in court cases are the most unreliable thing that there is. And it's because people are bullshit at remembering stuff. Because even that, like just remembering, recalling something that happened.
Recalling is I mean, that shows you the illusionary aspect of it. When I was in the field I was in, and we were studying like eyewitness statements, which like really don't count for jack shit anymore, because it was recognized, two people seeing the same thing. You wouldn't believe, I mean, the differences, it was just unbelievable. Both there looking at the same act. Like one was watching one version and one was watching the other. That's why, you know, eye testimony is not really, it's just really not worth the paper that they're writing it on. So I agree with you on that one. So where are we going with this, Brandon?
Well, and just to tack on to the end of that, it's about vibration. So we've talked a lot about too, and there's countless UFO cases, reports where two people are standing there. One person sees the UFO clear as day, 100 feet above the head. The other person can't see it at all. Again, back to the vibrational thing. You kind of can only see here. You're exposed to what you're supposed to be based on how you vibrate, based on the choices you make and the experience you choose to have here. And so, yes, the differentiation in everyone's reality is just that. It's just different, you know, and it's just all an interpretation of what's going on, not what's actually going on. That's, I think, one of the key things to keep in mind. Just even psychologically, on a sociological scale, everything happening is just an interpretation.
Well, we're all like news reporters reporting on it.
Well, we're reporting on what we think is going on.
Absolutely, what we think is going on. And doesn't mean that's going on. So on that note, we're in this simulation. I mean, like yourself, I can look back on what is called history and go, none of it's true.
Yeah, and there's a few reasons for that. So it's a complete cover up and a degradation of history, and you know this from
part of the program. It's part of the programming. It's in the system. It never actually happened. Even the dates, it never happened that way or any way, or even because of the timing. Does that, because it's a program in the matrix. I mean, I got to add in. I got thrown in. I said the other day to someone I was interviewing, and I was saying, we are the hackers of this simulation. We are the hackers of this matrix.
We're the glitch in the matrix.
We are the glitches, and we can. And I like the word hacking because it sounds more, you know, assertive. Because I just like that word. You know, who gives a fuck? You know, sounds invasive. We're breaking it down. We're, you know, we're all the neos, if you want to say. We're all the neos in the matrix. So keep going, go.
I forgot where we were. So so if you want to talk though about just kind of just reality as a whole and what this place is, like, I have no idea. I really don't.
I have no idea either. I have no idea.
What's fun though is, again, to talk to wonderful people like you and to break down these ideas and just get our minds blown, you know, by each other, and just, oh, this is so cool. I love thinking of things that way. And that's what's so cool as you walk through your world now with this uncertainty, but that's very comforting in a lot of ways, because it could be whatever the hell you want. And so another point that I have been making lately is about the flat earth and round earth thing. So what do you think that's about? Do you think the earth is round or flat?
I don't fucking know, and I don't really care either way. I can't tell you why I don't care. I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I have no opinion at all, because I've experienced getting out of my bed and there being no floor.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, you know, so and that shattered that. So it's not something I put my attention on. I don't put my attention on it. It could be, you know, oblong. It could be a triangle. It doesn't matter. What's yours?
Well, then if you were to ask me if the earth is round or flat, I'd say yes. And the reason yes is because it's based on
everything.
Because in this reality, you can look up, and you can Google this right now. Eggs will save my life if you eat an egg a day. Okay. And then you'll find an article and a bunch of different doctors that back that up. Then you'll Google the opposite of that. Eggs will kill you if you eat them. And of course, you're going to find a shitload of things that back that argument up. But this happens on a scale of everything.
Yes.
People don't even
Everything.
know. Scientists still, gravity is a theory. They don't even know what the fuck lightning is. Like, there's
No.
a bunch of shit out here that people presume to know that's not accurate. I mean, the law
Yeah.
of density describes gravity a lot better. This example of like the apple and the
Yeah.
water, things like that, an apple will fall, but if you put it
Yeah.
in water, it floats. It's
Yeah.
densities, right? So the law of densities actually checks gravity off the list
Yeah.
in a lot of different ways. But if you were to ask, like I said, is it round or flat? I'd say yes. It depends on your experience here. So if you are an astronaut and you get in a rocket and you think that you are going to shoot off and you're going to go out into space, then a ball forms underneath you because that's how the simulation renders
Yeah.
the experience for you. If
Yeah.
you think, because you can look at both sides of it, you have a bunch of people saying that it's a globe ball and that we're in this galaxy and we can
Yeah.
go this far and we're this far
Yeah.
away from things.
Yeah.
And there's evidence to prove that from their perspective, but also flat earth people can give you a shitload of evidence to contradict not only all of that, but to prove that their model is correct as well. So if this is a case, if this is the great time of delusion and illusion and
Yeah.
confusion, because the veil's so damn thin
Yeah.
and you are truly powerful, then whatever you think is what it is. But I consider this more of like a realm. It's an experiential realm or a holographic
Like
universe.
a holographic realm sounds cool with me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the great book, Holographic Universe by Michael
Yeah.
Talbot. Highly recommend it. Anybody, just go buy it. If you find it, go get it.
Yeah.
But it talks about this idea that it's basically just a hologram. It's whatever the hell you want. There's all those leaked CIA documents that talk about this. You know, who knows what the validity is on any of that. But if you start taking these kind of concepts, and you can do these, like I said, quick Google searches, just Google one thing. Rats carry rabies, and you know, then somebody will say yes, and then say rats don't carry rabies, and someone, yes, contrary to popular belief, rats do not carry rabies. You can find both things on either side of anything.
Absolutely. That's the whole point of this experience. It's a polarity. The whole point of the Homo sapiens sapien experience is, whoever we are, is to experience polarity in every single thing there is, to make the choice to create the world that we choose to have. It's a choice. I've got to come back though. I love the holographic universe. Being a contactee, you know, when you're seeing, I mean, you know, I did study quantum physics 101, you know, just to get, it gave me a big understanding of spirituality, actually. But when you're floating through a wall, Brandon, and the wall, you know, is solid matter, or when you're seeing beings coming through your mother's front room wall with a nasty wallpaper on, you know it's got to be an illusion. It has to be an illusion. So if that's the case, yeah, these beings obviously have a frequency to such extent that they can do that. Us in a certain vibration, you can be semi-conscious when you experience this. You don't have to be in the sleep state of consciousness. The vibration must have oscillated to a certain frequency that you're aware that you're going through the wall. It does give the possibility it's a holographic universe. It does. Only for my truth, because I'm going through walls and they're coming through walls.
Well, it's funny that you put that them coming through the wall was the illusion. What if they can just do that naturally because the rigidity of the wall is the illusion, not the fact that
that's the point. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yes. like all of it. Because
it's
even
like, have you ever seen the Never-Ending Story, the film?
Oh yeah.
The nothing, and what does it, I'm getting all excited here, guys. I love this conversation.
Yeah.
The nothing consumes everything into nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Do you remember that? Do you remember it just disappears? The nothing, the void, you know, and yeah, the wall is not there, so they just come through. So once we're at that frequency, like when we're in this whatever frequency, when, you know, we go floating through the walls or whatever, it just dematerializes.
Well, let's say, for instance, the people in, let's say, a game, okay, like a video game, because again, this is easier to kind of conceptualize. The people in the game have programs that are set up. Everything, there's rules there, right?
Yeah.
But what if you were to create an avatar because you're the creator of the game, or you're create a team of avatars, that the rigidity of those don't apply to those characters in that game, right? They just have enhancements, or they have a modification to their code as as the entities that they are, to be able to do this stuff. And it looks fantastical and amazing to us, just like if you're in this video game playing and all of a sudden something jumps out through a wall, it's not supposed to be able to do that. You can't do that. Why can that do that? So it could be that way, though. So again, this could be an engineered environment where there are different levels of access here, right? So you are governed and vibrate down at this access point. You don't have access. Your card doesn't scan to go through the walls. But if you could figure out a way to hack that, you could be the hacker in the Matrix, and you could do that.
I think all what we're doing on our shows and podcasts, we're hacking away. When these conversations arise, we are hacking away. We're deconstructing again and again and again. And there's always a breakthrough when that happens. There's always a breakthrough. I mean, so the audience may say, well, what's the bloody purpose? I've got so many possibilities. I don't know. It could be it's whatever I choose it to be. That's all I know. Whatever I choose this experience to be, it will be. So say, for example, this is just where I am at the moment. I've had so many humble pies because my truth changes, which is beautiful, because I don't want to stagnate. Okay, Brandon may say something in a minute. I go, wow, I like that better. I'm choosing that now.
That's what it's all about. Yeah,
it's the way it goes, and it is about choice. But for me, my truth that I'm standing in is I choose what timeline, what simulation, what I want to do. And as I'm aware that the frequency, the vibration is shifting, I'm aware. And that innately, as I said earlier on, takes me different places anyway, to different experiences. So I know what I choose. I certainly don't choose what, I don't have a TV, by the way. I don't choose what people are watching on their timeline in their TV. So would you say all of this in the simulation, all the possibilities, and it's all of the above, because it can be all of the above, because we can bring that into manifestation. Would you say it's all about choice?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it's just about choice. It's what you choose to pay your attention to, which your attention is the only real currency that you can give away. So let's say, for instance, these people who say that they're going to be held down and something medical happened to them against their will, it's not accurate. You have to choose that. They're like vampires. You have to invite them in. No one is putting you down unless you're inviting that in. And even on subconscious levels, so be careful about your subconscious programming, that will be so scared that you will attract that experience because your fear of it attracts it. So again, you're contributing energy into a system that's going to respond with an energy that gets more of that energy out of you. And so when you stop contributing it to that system in any form, it stops going to you, because you've learned that lesson. The reality doesn't need to reflect back to you in that way. And then also it's a dry well for that entity, for that expression of that idea. It stops coming to you because there's nothing to come to. That field is barren and you have nothing to offer it. And so
I think that's beautiful. Thank you for that. And I want to add to that. My tuppence says, years ago, I used to watch many different researching documentaries, but I'm fully aware there are some humans, Homo sapiens on this earth. I don't know if they're still alive, but their frequency was so high, nothing could touch them, even when they were given poison. Nothing.
There's transmutation.
There's nothing. And I do not recommend you try that at home. Thank you very much. Disclaimer here. But that, to me, again, the possibility, it's not just a possibility. I've witnessed this. I've witnessed another being experience something, change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. You just drank that water. If a placebo, I could have said to you, that's got like, that stuff that I don't do drugs. So, the stuff that comes off them frogs that get you high or whatever.
There's a few different, but poison.
I'm sure you know about them.
Or something.
Yeah. So say I said, right here, Brandon, it's in there. this is the placebo effect, the belief system, and you drank it. My God, you'd be high as a kite. You would be high as a kite. It's what you choose to believe.
Yes.
Does that make sense to you, how this works with choice? Everything experience your choice. So these people, like you said, that start thinking that, will attract it towards them.
Yeah.
But you know, if something did come into whatever, and they go, what the fuck? It's nothing. Do you get me?
Oh yeah. I choose the model of transcend the bullshit, everybody. If you're listening to this, make that your motto for the week. Transcend the bullshit.
Transcend the bullshit. And I always say on my shows, I invite people for a challenge. My challenge is, if you have a TV, turn it off for 72 hours. Don't go on to any Google pages, any news, any radio. For 72 hours, stay in your own reality, stay with your family, if you've got children, husband, have a conversation. You can argue with your partners, you can shout at your kids, and if you can, film your reality, your experience now. And if you do that for 72 hours, of all the ups and downs, of everything, the dog's barking, and it doesn't really matter. Someone just broke in and nicked something, all of reality that you're experiencing. 72 hours later, turn your TV back on. And when you look at that TV, that is not the reality you're in. Yep. It is an illusional reality. The reality that you're in, whether it's a simulation or holographic, it really doesn't matter. The first step is what you're actually experiencing. Does that resonate with you at all, Brandon?
100%. I say all the time, tend the garden that you've got, because that's all you have control over. So by
Why'd
watching
you say it more elegantly than me? Hold on, I'm going to say, guys, hold on, rewind. Rewind, delete.
All right, let's
I
go.
want you to attend the garden you already have.
That's right. Tend the garden you got. It's because, again, if you look at it like an energetic system, then the only thing that you can contribute to it is energy on either side. So you either agree with what it's saying, cool, now you're giving it energy in some form. If you don't agree with it and it gets you scared or gets you angry, it doesn't care that it's the truth. Like, yes, you are really upset for the truth, but the truth is what your energy is what feeds it. It's that old analogy of the two wolves. A grandfather and a grandson were sitting there. Two wolves walked up, one named love, one named fear. And the grandson asked the grandfather which one survives, which one gets bigger and grows. And the grandfather answered, whichever one you feed. So if you want to feed the fear one, then it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger and become a problem. And if you want to feed the love one, then the same thing will happen, but it becomes amazing. So it's all up to you. And this placebo effect, back to what you said on that, I mean, that's one of the most telltale signs that this is what's really going on, and that your reality isn't your reality, because you get to choose how you transmute things based on what information you have about them. What if, and I heard this said, that oxygen is actually the reason that we're not immortal. There are immortal animals. You guys can Google this. Google immortal animals, and all of them are sea creatures, like damn near all of them. They're the only, there's some creatures on this planet that can only be killed, or can only die if they're killed. So they don't just die from old age. So maybe, the fact that we live on this side of the land and we breathe oxygen is a death sentence for us, but we've been told that it's what we need to survive. Therefore, we transmute it in that way.
I'm with you. It's what you have to transmute. Every thought that comes up in your head, everything that you've been taught at school, anywhere, every single thing, because it is, when you hack into, let's call it the matrix for the moment, and the glitches come, and even in, the old Matrix film, when Neo goes to go up the stairs and he saw the cat go past twice, there was the glitch in it. That film has a lot of really good pointers in there. That people are experiencing that now, and I'm one included, experiencing these glitches, these time slips, these whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter. And I think that it's about choice. So if you go in and say, okay, we looked at all the possibilities that could happen, and we're happy for all of the above, it's cool. What then happens? It manifests.
Yes. And that's why you can find evidence for both things on either side of anything. It will manifest because that's what those individuals were looking for. And even the people who look for to disprove, let's just say flat Earth, because it's one of the most interesting ideas, and simply because it's so opposite, right? It's so opposite. You either live on a ball or you don't. You know what I mean? So the fact though that there's people who go into it looking to disprove it, and then end up like figuring out a lot about it and start looking at it and going, hang on. But I think there's systemic things here. And so we can point out a few of the systemic things and then zoom out. This is where I'd like to go with this now is this, because I think this is a good point to iterate here for the people listening. If you're still listening to this, which you should be because Gloria's great, then
I'll send you the check back. Go on.
That sounds great. Okay. But what you may be figuring out is like, okay, well, what the fuck are we talking about here? So you're saying turn off the TV, turn off all this. The reason that you and I have come to this conclusion, and this is again something I've been thinking a lot about, is that it looks like all of the things that are pushed on you or presented to you, and especially out of that little box that a lot of people have in their houses, is an inversion of reality. It's the opposite of what is true. So if that's the case, and all of these people are lying, then you got to ask why, right? And that's when you zoom out a level. So you look at it and you go, okay, the medical system's fucked. The governments are obviously organized crime rings, and that's all they are. It's intergenerational organized crime. And then you look at NASA and how full of shit they are, and how it's the only space agency. Everything's got to go through there, but they're caught lying all the time. Anyone can do a quick Google search on this. Look at the movie Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, and they will show you irrefutable evidence of them faking being halfway to the moon. Right there. So then the question is, okay, if it's faked and if they did that and that resonates with you that that's what happened, then you have to ask why. Well, why the fuck would they fake that? What are they hiding, right? Is it that they're hiding the ability to do it and they're just not man enough to come out and say, you know what, guys, to be honest with you, we've just been taking this $56 million a day and going to Vegas with it over the weekends. A lot of hookers, and it's been great. So thank you. Or did they say, we don't have the technology, we're big old dummies, we don't know what's going on? Or is there something up there or having to do with that system or that idea that's completely bullshit, completely false, which could then lend to the idea that your entire reality is wrong because you've been lied to? But if we come to the conclusion that those things then are the inverse of reality, that what your governments, your medical industry, your space agency, all of these things are telling you is the opposite of what's true, and you ask the question why, then we zoom out one more level. So to that, then the answer would be, or one of the things I've been thinking about is that it's all there on purpose. And the reason that it's there on purpose to be that obvious to you is for you to figure out and for you to say, you know what, it's all poppycock, it's all bullshit. So what's the next level? Zoom out one more level. I know we do a lot of zooming out, but that's, I think, important for perspective. And so if it is all one thing, part of itself, then when you get to the concept of duality zoomed out, you realize it's just one thing. That's it. And so it has a very important role to play here. I had one of my really good friends named Pat Mahan. He does a great show called Like Attracts Like. Y'all go check it out. It'll change your life. I've got him coming on for my 100th episode that'll be released here in a few weeks. So he talked about this on my first conversation with him about the idea of actors, okay, and that this is all just a play. So, but you need the villain and the hero to be here, be present for the play to take a course to occur at all. And both the villain and the hero come out and bow at the end of the play because they're both very, very necessary.
Absolutely.
Now we can look at our world of duality like that, like it's all necessary. And therefore, because if it's here for a reason. And then if it's here for a reason, then that means it plays an important role here. Now, if you zoom out one more level to that, which you can then maybe extrapolate from this, and this is where I go with it, that it's all not only necessary, but it's purposefully here for you to learn, grow, for you to do whatever you chose to do because you're the only one here, whatever you chose to do. And the reason that the numbers of people, for folks who are, I guess, air quotes, awake, that's a very small, it's a much smaller percentage of the population on the planet. That I think, again, from this zoomed out perspective, is part of the experience itself. So it's supposed to be. Let's picture this as like if you and a few friends, let's say 20% of this reality. Let's say you're all soul buddies on the other side, or your mom's paid for you a little birthday spot to go play paintball. But really, in this reality, it's a little game or a little event center that they go to have birthday parties at called Earth. And so what you do is you and a few of your buddies sign up and you go in and you forget and you live this entire thing, which could be minutes on the other side or in whatever reality you're from. And you participate in this game called Earth. Now, you're going to experience a bunch of crazy shit. There's volcanoes here. There's governments that are corrupt. There's all this stuff and it's crazy, but it's all a scripted narrative that you paid for to have an experience, right? Or that your mom paid for and all your buddies are here. So people like your soul tribe are people who you find again in this experience. And so then you can go and battle and you can move forward and you can get to these higher understandings. And it's not a physical battle. It's a realization that the life here is a projection of you. And then you beat the game and then you're over. And once you die. And so this also lends to future events or past histories before you were here, that they don't exist, that this reality cues up with this specific set of parameters, with this specific
in the now,
understanding.
Now.
And like dinosaurs weren't a thing. The ideas of dinosaurs were implanted in your mind to tell you they were a thing, to give you a little bit of depth to the experience, right? And so therefore nothing happened here before you entered the game, and nothing happens after you leave the game because there's no need for it.
Can I just add in there also, one of my truths is about that, staying on exactly where you are, is if you look at what thoughts come in your head, they are just rewinds of memories, of experiences. It's just rewind. And when you start to recognize and you make that gap space, then you start to experience the now. And when you get to, I'm getting there, it's hard to say this shit, then you experience exactly what you spoke about. Just come in now. I'm here now. And the only thing that there's a filter that is programmed in, it's to rewind the memories. Zoom, zoom. You never have, very so often, the consciousness within you will come out with a creative thought when the higher, it does come out, it does. But if you watch your thoughts, don't do nothing. Don't try to stop them. You can't stop the thoughts. You're just resisting. It's going to, just observe your thoughts. And you're just going to go, I did that. I got to, you either going in the past, illusionary past, or you're predicting your future that hasn't even come yet. And when it does come, you won't even be in the now then. You'll be doing the next future. So exactly what you said, we come in now. And if you stay in that now, there's no past, that's the place to be. And I also want to add on that, I like the idea, because obviously I love crime. No, I'm not a criminal. Coming from criminology and youth justice and that, and I love investigative, working on cold cases and investigations. So for me, this journey is like, we're all Sherlock Holmes, going through the matrix, breaking it all down, finding the enemy and solving the problem. But it's like a levels in a game, so to speak, as well. Does that resonate with you as well, while you're drinking that frog serum there and getting high as a kite?
Yeah, I wish. And I might be. Thank you. I appreciate the frog serum. That's fun. Yes, it absolutely does. And so that's the thing, right? It's just all choice. It's all choosing.
Everything is choice.
But what's great about this, and I've compared it also, and other people have as well, compared this reality to a choose your own adventure. And that's one of my favorite ideas, is because if you know the concept of a choose your own adventure book. For the audience, though, there was these books that you read, and as you read through it, it'll say, okay, do you want to go left or right? Do you want to go in the cave or go to the ocean? And it'll tell you, if you want to go to the cave, turn to page 20. And if you want to go to the ocean, turn to page 60. And so it'll let you go down these little things. But if you think about it, all possibilities are contained within that book. They're just, it depends on the one that you're focused on, the trail that you follow. And you could skip over to, the next page and read it. It's not going to make any damn sense to you. And this has to do with an aimless direction in life, all of these things. But if you follow one of those, then it leads you to a conclusion, and then that story ends. But all of those other potentialities or possibilities of experience are still contained within those pages, within that environment, within that area. So you can always go back and choose a different one. You can take a different path. So let's say that we are spiritual beings having a human experience here, and that all things are you, and that we are all entities. We'll get away from the digital simulation that needs to render, and so therefore the creatures around here are all NPCs or artifacts of the matrix. Let's just say that there are a bunch of entities here, but they're all expressions of a larger whole that's here
Yeah.
to lay out all possibilities
Yeah.
within itself, in not only this realm, but all realms, lifetimes, dimensions, everything. So this
Yeah.
is where you get the timeline jumping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is where now, if that is the case, then you get to choose what you experience here. And
Yes.
so if that's the case, then what you are choosing to experience is what you're doing now. Now, one of my favorite things about this whole concept, I also had a young lady on named Heather Thomas, and she's wonderful. So guys, go check her out as well. She brought up something that blew my damn mind, and I absolutely love this. Whenever you get into the way, we've zoomed way the hell out many, many times on a lot of things, and we're all here experiencing itself subjectively. Time's not a thing. You're in all expressions at once. It's only the eternal moment, and now you're all of these things. How does that benefit my life in any way? I've still got to go to work, all that good shit. So if you look at it from that perspective and you say, you know what, we're all just one thing experiencing itself subjectively, then if it has happened an infinite number of times, which it has, because time's not real, you're conscious of all of it. Everything has already happened and will ever happen and all of that.
Yeah. Already done.
Yes. Then my favorite part, and what Heather brought up and what really stuck with me, is that this lifetime, the one you're doing now, is your absolute favorite. Now let that sink in for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are conscious in this lifetime now, and you could be anywhere, you could literally be anywhere, anyone, anything at any time, but you're conscious in this one, it says, because you've done them an infinite number of times, that this is your favorite movie to keep playing. This is the one that you enjoy the most, and that's why you're here. So no matter what your story leading up to this moment that you're hearing this, whoever's hearing this, then all of it was for a purpose, and all of it was right on time, because this is your favorite one. And I know it's hard to lose sight of that, but when you start looking at life from that perspective, it gets a lot more magical.
I know, I'd so resonate with that. It resonates with my truth, absolutely. And again, you've out fucking done me, and you've expressed that beautifully, and I can't be having that.
Not a competition, Gloria.
You know what I mean? I don't know what confrontation is, but I got to try and find it somewhere. That was absolutely beautiful. Now, before we close our chat, you've mentioned it a few times, and for our audience and for me, could you expand upon the statement you've made a few times, soul tribes? What are you talking about, so the audience can have a better understanding?
Absolutely great question. Thank you for asking. Soul tribe is what I refer to, just the people that you resonate with the most. Now, your soul tribe changes, but I think a soul tribe is a little bit different than just friends or good friends or buddies or whatever. It's one of these ideas that lends itself to a cosmic sort of an agreement ahead of time, and that you kind of come into this life, or you've agreed in other past lives to come here at this time to meet up, to just go balls out, and to just tear the cabal down. And so that's what the soul tribe is. It's these people who resonate at the same frequency as you, that are here, that seem to be divinely just popping up in your life through some mystical context, and that's what that refers to. Now, I personally think that all of the people hearing this now, because again, in the eternal moment of now, if you're hearing this, it's not an accident. You came to this
it's now. It's where exactly. It's synchronistic. There's no such thing as coincidence and accident. Mind you, I got slightly distracted there, darling, because your dog walked past and he actually turned purple under your lights. I was like, "Wait!" I just saw a purple dog first time ever.
No, we have purple dogs out here. It's Texas. Have you never been to Texas?
No. I've never been
everywhere. Yeah, you can just grab one on the street.
It does a fuck off. Don't watch it. It's a light. Fuck off. No. But it's it's this the soul tribes, or whatever terminology you want to give it. I have found, obviously through life, we go through, I follow synchronicities. I never used to. It was like the universe said, Gloria, go right, and I went left. And I go round the fucking houses and then go, oh, right, I'm going right now. But then I got on it, I got it. Follow the synchronicity. And when I started, it's nearly a year now, next month, the first show's Open Minds. I've started to just connect to, we call it like-minded, through podcasts, and I've never met them before. I've never seen their shows before. I hear them talk and I'm in.
Yeah.
And I don't need your CV. I really don't even need your bio unless you want to promote yourself. I'm in. I know that you're meant to be on the show. I know. I don't need to know why either, but I just know it is now. So I so resonate with what you're saying there, Brandon. I really, really do. You know what? It's been an absolutely fantastic conversation. And I'm going to bring you back in the new year. I'll bring you on to the other Inception and on to Open Minds. And we can go anywhere you want, because I love an organic conversation where we sit there, we don't know jack shit, but we go, what if?
Yeah, we talk shit. That's all this is. Because none of this, and what's great is both things. None of it's provable and none of it's falsifiable. That's the best part about all this shit. You can't prove that it's real and you can't prove that it's not. So therefore, it remains in the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Now, what enhancement it has on your life is how it makes you feel,
yes.
or what resonates with you. So if this makes you feel scared or whatever, then that's, follow that. If it's something that scares you, I think you should go towards it. That's one of those things. But if it excites you, then it resonates with you. Then maybe
go for it.
Something in here that's going to benefit you from looking into it.
Absolutely.
Just think about it,
Yeah, I always say to the audience, the conversation had tonight, if anything does resonate with you, go and research it or go and contact him, not me, because I don't know anything. And if it doesn't resonate with you, I tell you what, just put it to one side and leave it. And then but find something that interests you at this point in time, in this now, and live your passion, whatever it is, live your excitement, live your dreams. Look, you do have a choice. If you're sitting at home alone or anything, you've still got choices in that space. It's unbelievable. Sometimes it's a bit hard to make the first step. And sometimes we stagnate. We think, I can't get out of this, I'm stuck. No, you're not. That's a thought that makes you stuck. You have choices. Experiment. Try something different. Just have a conversation with someone. You might find that will be the shift you need. So, Brandon, it has been fantastic. I've loved it. It's just been the greatest conversation ever. Okay. And
I agree with you. Thank you. This has been amazing. You're a delight. Thank you.
Oh, all right. I'll have to check back now.
That's right. Yeah.
That's okay. Right. So now you can sell your wares shamelessly. All your links, just throw it out there. Go on.
Oh yeah, I'll send you all this stuff too. But expandingrealitypodcast.com, that's where links to everything are. My Instagram just got shut down. I don't know if it's a mistake or if the cabal finally caught on to me or whatever. But either way, there's plenty of places to find us. So just expandingrealitypodcast.com. And like I said, I'm on Rockfin. We've got merchandise. I just put like 8 new shirt designs up. I'm working with some really cool artists for that. And we've got a big year coming up next year. Of course, a bunch of new stuff is happening, and y'all just go check the show out. It's pretty good. I'm pretty proud of it. So go check it out.
Right, there you go. And on that note, thank you everybody for watching Inception. It's Saturday night in the UK. Have a wonderful weekend. Until the next time, it's bye from me.